Murder at Ocean View College. Chapter 6, Cafeteria Gossip. Jade sat in a corner of the college cafeteria with her psychology book open in front of her. She was waiting for Danny. There were loud conversations everywhere, along with the shouting and clatter of lunch trays and silverware. It was impossible to concentrate, so she gave up and closed the book. The coffee she had been sipping was now cold. She made a face and pushed it away. It splashed onto the table, and she wiped it up with her napkin. She ate the last bite of her bagel with cream cheese. She wanted another cup of coffee, preferably a hot one this time, but she wanted to find Danny first. Their favorite spot in the corner, farthest away from the door, was already occupied, so she had chosen seats in the opposite corner. If Danny came in and didn't see her, he might think that something had come up and she had to leave. This was their informal Wednesday morning date, coffee and bagels in the school cafeteria, and she was right on time. Jade looked around the large room again, afraid that she had missed him. She was looking for a tall, handsome young man in a dark blue police uniform. Where was he? He was supposed to meet her right after his chemistry class, but she couldn't see him. Maybe something came up. She looked at her watch. He was 10 minutes late, but she decided to give him another 10 minutes. She played with the thin gold chain on her wrist, and then twisted her long hair around her fingers. She twisted the class ring around and around, then went back to twisting her hair. She was having a test in her psychology class this afternoon, and she should be reviewing, but she couldn't concentrate. She looked up when a burst of loud noise and energy came through the front door. It looked like most of the football team. They were wearing gold sweatpants and jerseys with a picture of a bear, the school mascot, on front. They were all carrying their football jackets. The team had been practicing regularly, and everybody was excited about the new season coming up. She remembered the excitement last year when they won the state championship, and people were talking about winning again this year. She thought that they wore their uniforms everywhere because they liked having the other students look at them. It was probably a matter of pride. Even though she was not much of a football fan, she couldn't help feeling a little proud, too, because this winning team was from her school. She smiled and watched them as they slapped each other's backs and shouted at friends around the cafeteria. She thought they were awfully loud. Several of them, she counted 6, crowded around the long table right in front of her. She covered her ears because of the noise as they threw their books and jackets in piles on the table and, still shouting, joined the line to buy breakfast. She watched them absent-mindedly now, like a silly comedy show on TV, but they didn't seem to notice her. They were probably concentrating on breakfast. They looked hungry. They came back to the table in no time, plates piled high with eggs, sausage, and toast, and cups of hot coffee balanced on trays. Joey Johnson caught sight of her and waved, gave her a big smile, and winked. Tommy waved at her and shouted, "Hey, beautiful!" Then they settled down to eating, joking, and gossiping as if Jade were not there. "Hey, Joey!" somebody shouted from one end of the table. "Who's taking your math test for you?" Everybody at the table roared with laughter. Jade remembered that several years before, the college had instituted a get tough policy on athletes. There was a front page story in the local newspaper. All athletes were required to keep at least a C average in all classes and were not allowed any D's or F's on their grade reports. If an athlete received failing grades, he was forced to give up playing sports until he improved his grades. At first, there were a lot of surprised and unhappy athletes when they were kicked off the baseball, basketball, and football teams. The last couple of years, however, since Jade had been a student here, the athletes seemed to be taking school more seriously. She heard the laughter die down, and the group at the table became quiet. Somebody was whispering. Police training had taught her to be curious, so Jade leaned her head closer. She could catch only a few of the words, and they did not make sense to her. She wrinkled her forehead in thought. Coach, deal, easy, copy. What were they talking about? She was puzzling over this when she saw Danny, handsome in his blue uniform, come into the room.